I want to thank the senator from Missouri for his words. I also, reminiscing as I was listening to him about our work when I was HUD secretary, many times getting good counsel and advice from my main appropriator, a man who really knows a great deal about this whole problem and about this issue, and I thank you for your comments. I think you were exactly right in talking about how the problem we're seeing today is hurting families. When I had the good fortune to be at HUD, it was in the good times. We were talking about ever-increasing rates of home ownership, particularly among minority families, more and more people getting into home ownership. That was a good thing, because as we were doing that, we were building communities. And streets were getting stronger, and families were getting stronger, streets stronger, and cities and communities stronger. And now we're seeing the reverse of that, and that's why it's so important we take some steps, as you suggested, to move forward aggressively on this problem. Let me just talk a little bit about what I saw in Florida during the last few days when I was there. And I think Florida, in this regard, is a microcosm of the country. The state of the market is one in which we see increasingly at the level of the homeowner, people in more and more distress and more trouble about holding on to the home they have. You drive around and see signs about foreclosed home for sale. In addition to that, you know of people having a problem making ends meet. The second situation related to that is the fact that many people are now staying away from the market. They're simply not buying homes. And the result of that, or the reason for that, is the sense of insecurity about where we are today in this very difficult moment. So as a result of that, you find that homes are not being purchased. This is having an impact then on market prices, where home prices are in a decline, and fewer buyers are in the marketplace. As a result of all of these things, there have been significant economic impacts on the state of Florida. So what begins as a problem to a family and a significant problem, a heartbreaking problem, becomes a compounding problem when it impacts the entire economy of a state like Florida. The state of Florida is greatly dependent on home building for its economy, and that's a fact. So when I talked this past few days to people in the industry, I'm hearing from home builders who are saying, I've had to lay people off, had to lay off substantial numbers of the workforce. Large home builders who've laid off hundreds and hundreds of people. That impact on the economy is significant. So the Florida situation, I think, is somewhat revealing of what is happening across the country, which is why, as I come back here, more determined than ever that we have got to act, that this is a time for the Congress to take strong and significant action to try to have an impact on what is a deteriorating situation. You know, everybody keeps talking about when we have hit bottom. When does the housing market have hit bottom? Well, I'm not sure if we've hit bottom yet or not. I hope we have, and I hope we're beginning that ascending situation back. But the bottom line is that we've got to act. And there are things that we can do, and there are areas in which we must act. I would isolate them into three areas. One is the area that impacts the homeowner themselves. That's what Senator Bond was talking about home counseling, about getting people help, about workouts. The fact of the matter is that it is in the best interest of a financial institution to work out a loan with a hurting homeowner than it is to turn that into foreclosure. Nobody wants to have a foreclosed home on their inventory. What they want is a homeowner continuing to make their payments. We have to work there on housing counseling. We also have to do the FHA modernization. I see the senator from Connecticut, my chairman. We've worked hard to get FHA done. We've got to get that done. That's going to help families by making the FHA a more active player in this current marketplace. It's going to bring FHA into play by allowing them to do larger loans, by allowing them to be more flexible in the loans that they do. FHA Secure is a good first step. We need more flexibility in FHA Secure. We need to make sure that even families who already have gotten in trouble, but who are not desperate yet, who have not gotten to the point of foreclosure, but who have gotten behind, to be able to utilize FHA Secure. Why do we do that? Because this is going to allow families to get into an FHA mortgage that is going to then get them, hopefully, into a mortgage that they can carry and out of trouble. We need to stabilize values. We need to make sure that the declining home value stops, because as that happens, the equity value in homes continues to decline, and that is not a good thing for the economy as a whole. So there are some ideas. How can we help with these ideas? Well, one I like a lot is Senator Isak's idea to try to provide a tax credit try to lower the inventory of unoccupied homes. If these homes are unoccupied, because as has happened in Florida, many were built that are today not being bought, we need to get the market back going. We need to get people back into buying homes. So we need to make sure that they have an opportunity to do so, and an encouragement of a tax credit, I think, it will go a long ways towards doing that. The second related problem is liquidity. I talked to home builders who were telling me that they've got some buyers that cannot find a loan, that the banks are not lending money. Money has tightened. So as money has tightened, we need to do those things that will provide more liquidity into the marketplace, which is why I'm very fearful that cramming down mortgages is not a good idea to provide more liquidity. In fact, that would work against providing more liquidity. I want to see also for us to look at the long term of this, and there's need for regulatory reform. I've talked about the regulation of the government-sponsored enterprises, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, home loan banks. We need a stronger, more effective regulator. I've been preaching this since I was at HUD. This is an important concept whose time has more than come. We have increased the loan limits of the GSEs, and we have now lowered their capital requirements to 20%. As we have done that, it is necessary that we look at a stronger regulator. OFEO and the rules today are not up to par for what we need. These are trillion-dollar companies of incredible importance to play a very significant role in getting us out of the current market dilemma that we're in. And in order for them to be stronger, for them to have the kinds of investor confidence that they must have, I think a stronger regulator would be a great step forward. I also commend the Secretary of Treasury for the proposals that he's made on a broader regulatory scheme for our financial world. I think some of these ideas that are also being discussed here in the Congress are important. We need to consider them, and many of them need to be adopted. They may be on a second tier. I'm looking at more immediate things that we can do to gin up the housing market and to move forward in that regard. I was going to close by simply touching on the importance for us to work in a bipartisan fashion. I'm delighted to see Chairman Dodd here. He and I have had conversations. It is important that we look to working with one another, how we can find the best of all of our ideas to come together with something that's going to help the American people. The people of Florida desperately need help. This is a problem, as I say, not only to the end consumer, not only to the homeowner, not only to the family that tasted that dream of home ownership and got into a home and now are seeing the nightmare of losing it before their eyes, but also to those people who are now either have lost a job or may be fearful of losing a job. The entirety of the economy that depends so much on housing being a component part of this economy is really part of what we need to address. I hope in the next days that we will come to some understanding of how to move forward in a bipartisan fashion to work towards a solution that's going to help the American people get back to that strong, vibrant economy that we've known in the recent years, and also to continuing to grow that dream of home ownership for more and more American families. I thank the President, and I yield the floor.